So it's October, and you know what that means. Time for some brand new, original, scary, terrifying, cannot sleep at night movies. And I think I just saw one of the best of the year.
Bing bong!
When Evil Lurks is a brand new horror film that just came out. It is about this woman who believes that her husband has become possessed, and she tasks these two men with, taking him out back and sort of putting an end to his misery. Now that's really all I want to say without giving away too much of the film. This is a horror movie. If you are a horror movie fan, do not miss this one. Now I will say, right off the bat, terrible name. When Evil Lurks, horrible name. The word lurk is just a weird word to put in the title of any movie, but specifically a horror movie. It just doesn't sound very scary. The original translation had the word stalk in it, which I think is just also a really weird word to put in your movie. It's just sort of clunky. Nothing to do with the film. It's just that the name is terrible. Everything else about this movie is fantastic. It is compelling. It is disgusting, but in like a really cool, how did they do that with practical effects sort of way. And it pays homage to a lot of other recent and older horror films that have come along. Now, as somebody that just recently got into horror movies several years ago, that is something I really like to see. I love it in any genre when a movie pays homage to other films that came before it and inspired it. I think that's a really cool callback and just a way to pay respect to other movies that came along the way and made your movie possible. Now, if you're somebody that saw a film called It Follows a few years ago, this movie is very similar to that in terms of how the story is told. Essentially a story of possession where nobody quite understands the rules or how this demon works. They just know that they have to find a way to stop it. One of my favorite aspects about this movie is that it was a really small cast. I think that anytime horror films involve basically just a few people, it makes it that much scarier because a lot of the sets are a lot smaller and tighter, smaller shots, very few people. All of the deaths that do happen feel very important because it's not just like a zombie movie where like 100 people are getting wiped out at once. Every death hits really hard because the stakes feel really high. I also think one of the things this film does really well is the storytelling. It feels like a mystery, thriller, horror slasher where you're really on the edge of your seat the entire movie. They really don't tell you too much about how this demon works or how to stop it. There's also a lot of guessing involved where you're not quite sure who to trust, and at least if you're me, I didn't trust anybody in this movie. I was convinced that one of the good guys was actually teaming up with the demon in some way and was going to turn on everybody in the end. I really like that. I love it anytime movies are unpredictable, and this film had a ton of unpredictability from start to finish. But I think where this movie succeeds the most is in the practical effects. There are some truly horrific, disgusting moments of this movie, but in like a fun, goofy horror movie way, because there are also a lot of moments where it's like so gross that it's kind of hilarious. Like there's sort of one of those classic zombie eating somebody's brain scenes, but stick with me, it's so ridiculous it's hard to not laugh a little bit because of the absurdity of the scene. And I think in movies these days, practical effects sort of feel like they have become a relic of the past. So anytime a movie does a lot of practical effects in order to bring a lot of its world to life, I appreciate that. Effects in this movie are so well done. Some of them I legitimately could not tell if there was CG involved, but it looks like for the most part a lot of the way that they shot this film was done practically, and I really appreciated that. I think that we've gotten a lot of really good horror movies this year, but When Evil Lurks is definitely near the top of the list. I still think Talk to Me is my personal favorite of the year, but I think this is probably second. This is a movie that I was not sure how much I was going to enjoy it going in, just because I had not really heard anything about it, and I came out of this movie like, wow, I think that's one of the best horror movies of the year. I think if you're a fan of horror movies and you're looking for something new and something fresh, if you can read subtitles or speak Spanish, go see this movie. This is one that you should not miss. It's perfect for October. It's scary. I hope it sticks around because it's really well made. It's very compelling. I really enjoyed it. This movie does have this sort of ending where maybe this is the end of the road, but maybe, just maybe, we'll get a sequel.